welcome on a Saturday here, Barry, on a Saturday. We're starting Saturdays with Barry, man.
I
So,
love it.
it's so cool, right? We're going to catch up on last week, kind of what happened, and then kind of look forward and see what we got to talk about, that kind of a thing. Kind of a more laid back, approach to awesome MBS goodness. So, let's rock, dude. What's going on? Let's talk about last week first. All this, we did a show. It was called "Welcome to the Best Day in Real Estate Ever," and on the homepage of the National Real Estate Post, we bring in all the news feeds. It's like there wasn't one story that wasn't just like amazing. Like, this is great, totally awesome, things are happening. Oh my God! It was like everything was just like, hooray! What's your thoughts on that?
Well, we've been so bullish on real estate for a long time, and most people weren't as bullish as we were. And sure enough, real estate's done great. And now it seems like everybody's jumped on the bandwagon and realizing how great real estate is. However, I think that the optimism might be a little bit to the too far ahead of itself side, where, if you look at a spring and you coil a spring one way, and then when you release it, there's a lot of energy released. And that's kind of what we're seeing right now. There's a desire to move out of urban into not just the suburbs, but the exurbs, the next layer out.
Right.
Really hot. This whole thing has been driven right now by those under 35. That's the hottest segment of the market. So please remember in your marketing to consider that. If you're a real estate agent watching, if you say I'm doing good on social media, use Instagram because that's where they're going. You have to also think about the fact that people want more distance, more space. They want to get out of apartments. So we're seeing a lot of that action right now, plus just normal activity. People wanted to do this anyway. So you have what you would have normally seen in 3 months happen in 1 month. So it looks like this is just on fire. And it feels like it is, and it is for now, but I would anticipate that things will slow. Let's remember that we still have over 20 million people that are unemployed. That has been persistent. I know a lot of folks look at the initial jobless claims and they say, oh, wow, it was up to 6 million. Now it's all the way back down to 1.5 million. Remember that that's still new people filing for unemployment benefits. That's 7 times more than what we had seen in a normal market. And just because this people initiating claims has come down, if you look at what's happened with the continuing claims, that went way, 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 way up, and it's come down just a little bit from 25 million to about 20 million people. I mean, it's still a lot, thank goodness. But there are some holes in this too. What happens when PPP runs out? You'll start to see in August, perhaps you might get a little bit of an increase in the rate of unemployment from that. So there are different factors at play. I think overall, listen, we're starting to move in the right direction. We love that. We think housing is going to be really good. There's 2 sides of housing. Volume of sales, and that's what a lot of times the media looks at, the driver of GDP, and then housing, the investment. I bought a home. Am I going to make money on it, or am I going to lose money? Well, on that side, which is more important, near and dear to our customers' hearts, because that's what they care about, we see a lot of good, solid appreciation going forward. And Frank, here's the thing is there was already not enough supply. So demand's actually increasing, driven by younger people. And then on top of that, builders have had to slow production. So in an already tough inventory environment, builders had to take a big hit in 2020 because they had to shut down. Not as easy to do land deals. Getting workers back to work is still kind of challenging. So the amount of new construction will be even lower than anticipated initially at the start of this year. That's a recipe for home prices rising. So we do see a lot of that.
Does that kind of the inventory issue, doesn't that kind of counteract the unemployment issue and the PPP issue? Doesn't it kind of counteract it and maybe just keep this moving in the direction that it's going?
Yeah, to some degree, it does. Certainly, you're 100% right. However, the persistent unemployment is correlated to people that will buy a home. So you're going to see this initial rush, and while it'll still be healthy, and while we'll still see price gains, I think that we're not going to keep this torrid pace up. You'll start to see it still good, but not as good as if you've seen the last month.
Okay.
So that's what we anticipate. And on the interest rate side,
I was just going to say, what about rates?
Obviously that's a very big driver, right? So
Right.
We're seeing that, and a couple of sides to this. So number one, we're trapped right now as we begin this week between the 25 and 50-day moving average on mortgage-backed securities. Now, in the past few weeks, we've broken out of this tight range twice. As soon as we broke underneath this level, prices dropped like 70 basis points. So it was a bit of a shock, but then they kind of came back. And then about a week ago, when we broke above this level, we saw about a 60 basis point gain, and then it kind of dissipated. So I anticipate things to be relatively flat because the Fed is buying a very consistent amount between $4 and $5 billion a day. That's a lot. $100 billion a month. That's a lot. A billion here, a billion there. Before you know about it, you're talking real money. You know,
there's some deep pockets right there, baby.
Oh yeah. So just so there's two ways to look at rates. They're going to stay pretty stable, but there will be times where you get a sudden burst of improvement or a sudden drop in where you see your pricings and rise in rates, probably about 50, 60, maybe 70 basis points on a quick hit to the upside or downside in price. So maybe an eighth in rate might change. So this tells us that we have to be nimble, we have to be alert and watch for it and protect against it. But it also says that over time, that'll kind of settle out. So I'm hearing from everyone that record months, but also overwhelmed as far as volume. And because of that, your processors, your underwriters, they're not, not in a position where they're immune from this stress. They're feeling the pinch. They're certainly in a situation where many of them are at levels where they're feeling a lot of stress. So listen, if you're a real estate agent, if you're a mortgage professional, a little grace here is important. The problems that we have right now are high-class problems. I mean, these are wonderful problems to have, right? Too much business and we just can't get it done quick enough. So a little grace, a little kindness, a little pat on the back for those that are really trying to get this through, that are just simply overwhelmed. Remember, rates are going to be okay. Housing is going to be strong. So if it takes a tiny bit longer, patience is a good thing at this point in time. I think that will be rewarded in the long run.
It's interesting because at NREP, National Real Estate Post, of course, Barry, we have mortgage companies, all the time. Hey man, I want to advertise. And normally it's, I want to get some loan officers. Not these days. These days it's, you guys connected to any underwriters, connected to any processors? You got anything like that going on? I don't need a loan officer. Trust me. I'm not interested in that right now. So yeah, that's kind of where
you're so right. And you bring up another point there is that, you might say to your company, well, okay, we need to get more staffing to staff up. Where are you going to get them from?
You can't.
There's not a lot of unemployed underwriters or processors right now.
It's true.
And by the way, if they are unemployed, maybe there's a reason in this environment they're not employed. Okay, so do you really want that person on your team? So owners of companies are in a tight spot. Okay, again, all of these are high class problems. Just please remember that, and that's the lens we have to look through. This, like, thank goodness this is, could it be we came out of COVID where business was, in shambles and terrible? That would be a much worse problem to have, right?
Right.
This is a problem that is clearly something that gives you heartburn, but man, it's like heartburn after a really delicious meal that you have, okay? So we deal with the heartburn.
Exactly.
I feel that this is an important one for us to have perspective. Now, this week, we get a lot of housing data. I anticipate it to still be strong. We're going to get a look at GDP, initial jobless claims. All these things will be important reports that can impact the marketplace. But for right now, I mean, things, considering what we've been through, things are looking really good, thankfully, because the business we're in. Again, that great perspective that we're in this great business to be in real estate and mortgage that has been succeeding and thriving throughout a pandemic where many other businesses have been seeing a tough time.
Totally. Yeah, this is the mortgage and real estate industry is just flourishing through all of this, which is really incredible. So would you say, like, going into this week, are we cautiously floating again, like last week?
Yeah, I like, we've been floating actually for a few weeks. We did a lock alert. I think it was June 4th was the last one we did. It was right before the employment report. And we were right on that one because we did see that 70 basis point drop. We averted that. We've been very judicious because with the Fed buying, prices are going to be pretty good. Rates are going to be pretty good. So I'd be in a position there to lean towards floating when possible. I think that helps us. As far as purchasing, people are getting frustrated because there's not a lot of inventory.
Right.
If you're a real estate agent or a mortgage professional, please keep the focus on, I know it's hard work to find a home today, but the rewards are tremendous. We do a great job on cost of waiting. And just you can kind of just figure this out in your market, depending on what your zip code is. Most of them are going to see really good appreciation over the next few years, and even in the next 6 months. If you're in a position where you say, I'll wait on the sideline, see if inventory improves. Well, first of all, it's not going to improve. Number one. Number two is you'll come back 6 months or 8 months later and find that you'll have to pay more
Yeah.
in order to get the same home. And you would have been building amortization in the interim. So it's hard work. Stay at it. I would even say in this environment, if you have to pony up a little bit more to win that home, because that's what it is right now. It's winning the home, especially on a single family residence. Condos, a little bit different story. Okay. Still going to be okay. But single families are doing really well in the suburbs and exurbs, and you will make a lot of money. So a couple of bucks more today will give you a lot more money over the years.
Great stuff. Hey, just kind of a random thought here, just question for you. You know, because we've seen mortgage rates hit the twos. You know what I mean? You ever think that's ever possible for mortgage rates to hit the ones?
Well, in order for that to occur, we'd have to see a negative interest rate environment.
Okay.
You never want to say never.
Right.
It's a great question that you bring up. So I think that it would be hard for two reasons. Number one, I don't think the natural market gets there. But if you even look today, the natural market where interest rates should be they should be about 2.5 to 2 3/4. However, premiums, because of elevated rates of unemployment and simple capacity issues, you got to take your hats off to the mortgage industry. Those of you in the real estate environment, remember that those people doing these record levels of volume and providing the service, they're doing so with people working from home in compromised situations, and they're doing such a great job. After the 2008 crisis, the mortgage industry was looked at as, hey, you guys made a lot of errors. Now, I've got to look at the mortgage industry as part of the solution, helping people get into homes, helping people save money on refinances, doing debt consolidation. I really think that our mortgage industry has been through a lot, not to mention the margin calls, not to mention forbearance, which we're still dealing with.
Yeah, unbelievable.
And still doing such an unbelievable job. I'm going to go say that, people in the mortgage industry, really, they're like heroes, and realtors too, because they're helping people get into those homes. It's not easy. We get paid a good amount of money, but we're earning it.
A lot different than 2008.
We've come a long way.
Where we were the villains.
Yes.
Now we're the heroes. All right. Well, that was great, man. Great stuff for a Saturday morning, man. I appreciate you being here, Barry, and we'll show up every Saturday for you guys. So got big plans for the weekend, Barry?
Well, I hope that everyone enjoyed Father's Day. And for this upcoming weekend, which I think is the weekend before the 4th of July.
Right.
I'm actually getting on an airplane here, which, I used to live on airplanes. So I'll have my mask. I'll get on an airplane. I'm gonna head down to Florida for just a few days.
Good.
It's not warm enough in New Jersey, so I'm gonna get some additional heat in Florida.
Okay.
But yeah, it'll be nice to get out. It's been, I think it's the first time, Frank, in maybe, definitely longer than 10 years that I have not traveled in at least 3 months. So I know. It's very unusual for me. So I'm kind of looking forward to it.
To actually going somewhere. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, not me. I'm going to stay home and I don't want to go anywhere. That's me. I'm tired of flying around. I've had my share, my fill. So anyway, well, let's get on out of here, man. Hey, thanks so much for doing this. And
have a great week, everyone.
Everybody have a great weekend, and we'll see you, of course, next week. And just do us a favor, leave us your comments down below. Sometimes Barry has the time to get in there and answer you, and so leave any comments you want. Do us a favor, share this video to whoever you think it might be useful to, and of course, subscribe if you're meeting us for the first time. We appreciate that. With that, we'll have a great one and catch you later. Adios.
Adios.